as I mentioned a while ago, I think Mancini's decision to go back to 3-5-2 in these games was a sensible one. And I think this is one of the things that I do want to hone in on, because actually, I think we talked about it even when Italy failed to qualify. We talked about the context being different to last time Italy failed to qualify for a World Cup, because last time everyone and their dog knew that Gianpiero Ventura was a problem, that he was doing a bad job. The players didn't believe in him and he had to go. When Mancini failed, there was this sort of disconnect almost, where everyone was incredibly disappointed, felt like the team had blown it, which they did, but wasn't willing to go to blaming the manager. And I think what you saw in this game, or these two games, is a bit of why. Because I think Mancini, for most of his tenure, not to say there haven't been mistakes, because I think he carries his share of the blame for failing to qualify, absolutely. But what he has done for most of his tenure so well, in my opinion, is to take the best of what is there in Serie A. He looks at Serie A and he goes, well, what's the best of what's happening in Serie A right now, and take that into your national team. And at the Euros, that was the sort of more enterprising elements that were happening in Serie A, that willingness to play in a more attacking, possession-based way, taken from teams, I know you'll hate this, Mina, like Sassuolo with De Zerbi, but also taken from teams like Atalanta, taken from teams that were doing that in Europe for Italy. And then I think this was almost an acceptance that wave is currently not the one that's in the ascendant. What's currently in the ascendant in Serie A is the sort of more recently classical Italian 3-5-2, and take your man on all over the pitch, which is still taking something from teams like Atalanta, but it's also taking something, not in the positional part of it, but in the play style of Pioli's Milan. It's taking bits from these teams that are the teams that are succeeding in Italy. And I think that's my favorite thing about Mancini, is that he isn't so locked into one thing, that he is blinded by it. And I think that the flip side of that coin is, I do think in the qualifying campaign, the World Cup qualifying campaign, he got too attached to the team that won the Euros. And I think if he'd made this decision a tiny bit earlier, maybe we'd have a different outcome in the qualifying campaign as well.